So in Plato's Allegory of a Cave, there's three components. You've got basically the screen, the people that are projecting the shadows onto the screen. By screen I mean a wall in a cave, but the wall is just a metaphor for the screen or the stage. And so in the movie The Matrix, the analogy is the Matrix is the wall in the cave, and the people projecting the symbols onto the cave wall are the machines. They're the people that are simulating the Matrix. And what's interesting about this analogy is in the Matrix, the real is still in the cave. And what corresponds to the person going outside of the cave and seeing the sun and being blinded, that's analogous to the natural. And in the movie The Matrix 3, you see Neo and Trinity, they momentarily fly above the nuclear cloud created by the machines when they nuke the planet. And Trinity says beautiful, and Neo's blinded by it even though he doesn't have any eyes. And I'm saying that's a better analogy, that's a better relationship to Plato's Allegory of a Cave. That the real is still, that the Matrix doesn't conceal the real, it conceals that the real is still unnatural. That the artificial cloud created by the machines is still artificial. That's the metaphor that I'm working with right here. So there's another sense in which we think of sort of being fake, and that's Baudrillard's version of our concept of the hyperreal. And I think he said things like Disneyland is there to conceal that all of real America is Disneyland, and that's sort of more like the Matrix, because the stage, Disneyland is like a stage, and that's like the screen. But there's another version of hyperreality that's more of a matter of degrees. Like, I've heard an example of like music, where music back in the day as opposed to like Britney Spears now, like it's almost like the product's been diluted, and you can see this dilution process in all corporate America. They take like something that's mom and pops, and then they make everything cheap and plastic now. You can see a general progression of civilization moving towards becoming more fake also. And what another example that Baudrillard actually talks about is the Gulf War. So how people experienced the Gulf War was through CNN, and that sort of misrepresentation of the real is what Baudrillard's talking about. Basically what they did is they diluted the war for the masses so that the masses will like it, just like the corporate America dilutes the products once the corporations buy them out. Or like the mortgage companies basically diluted their own mortgage mutual funds. I think they called them like CDOs or something. And so they're selling people these mortgage packages. They're like a mutual fund of mortgages, and they're selling them to people as if they were like the grade A mortgages, the good mortgages, but they're really putting all these bad mortgages in there. So they diluted their own product, but they kept the brand, and that's sort of like the way of civilization in general. Let's see, I'm trying to drive here. So you can see that with cars, for example. Like, cars are all cheap and plastic, made to break down. But back in the day, they're meant to last, like, structurally. And you can see that general trend throughout civilization. Plus, aesthetically, everything is becoming slicker looking. civilization's becoming, it's like an increase in uniformity. It's becoming more perceptually uniform. That's why surfaces, just the idea of a road. But I'll make a whole entire video on different examples of increases in uniformity. Like Starbucks, there's more than just perceptual uniformity. There's conceptual uniformity, which is like all the mom and pop's coffee shops in the 90s getting turned into Starbucks, and they make everything uniform, all these differences, and it's just one size fits all. Not that that's bad, it's just the way it happens. There's like a wild west phase for everything. Like MySpace was the wild west for social networks. And now everything's Facebook. And there's good and bad aspects to that, because everyone had their own MySpace profile, and you that's when you start to realize that people have pretty different tastes. And maybe it's a good idea that everyone has the same Facebook format, basically. And plus, a lot of the aspects of social networks that were more scandalous went on to Twitter. It's separated into Twitter, it feels like. Like, Facebook is for like the masses, and MySpace was like the initial inception of it. But just like the Wild West, like, it got paved over with, instead of like a bunch of different factions with their own rules, it became one uniform where you don't have all these like different social norms butting heads. Well, back to the hyperreality. So the screen or the wall in the cave, they don't conceal the reality. They conceal that reality is still unnatural, meaning there's still the concepts that we have are still not nature. They're